Yeah, what I would need to do with you is do you know what an option agreement is? If you're into wholesaling real estate and you find a motivated seller who's willing to sell his property at a discount, you really need to know when it's better to use an option agreement instead of a purchase agreement. On this video, I'm gonna break it down for you and even show you a real life example of me on the phone with a seller. All of that and more coming up.
This video is brought to you by Flipster, the nation's #1 real estate software, with tools for finding, funding, and flipping houses. Check it out now at getflipster.com.
If you're new here, I'm Jerry Norton. I went from dead broke to millionaire flipping houses, and after doing 1,000 deals, I created this channel to help you master the art of wholesaling and flipping real estate so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are released. As you know, once you agree on a price with a seller, you need to execute a contract with that seller. The contract is what obligates the seller to the terms of the deal. Once you have a fully executed contract with a seller, legally he cannot sell the property to anyone else, and most of the time, the standard contract used is a purchase and sale agreement. It basically says the seller agrees to sell the property at a specified price and date, and the buyer agrees to purchase the property at a specified price and date. In other words, both parties are obligated. Now, there are contingencies that can allow the buyer to get out of the contract, but the idea is that both parties have come to a meeting of the minds, and if you're a wholesaler, your goal is to get the price on the contract at enough of a discount that you can assign that contract to a cash buyer for a fee. By the way, if you're unfamiliar with how to fill out a purchase and sale agreement and to get my exact purchase and sale agreement for free that I've used thousands of times, be sure to watch a video where I walk through step by step how to fill it out. I'll put the link to that video in the description below for you. But in a lot of cases, the price you want to pay is lower than what the seller is willing to pay. For example, recently my cold callers got a lead on a private seller in a low-end neighborhood who was a tired landlord and he wanted to sell his rental property. Now, when we first started out the conversation, he wanted $45,000 for the property. Now, for me, a good number is $25,000 because I'm pretty sure I could wholesale it for $35,000. So we kept talking and I kept working him down and he went from $45,000 to $35,000, but that was still too high. Let's cut to a few minutes of that conversation and then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna explain what I did and how I handled this situation using an option agreement. Take a listen. I mean, how bad do you wanna sell it? What are you thinking? What do you wanna let it go for?
Well, check this. I have like 3 people, four people. They're Hispanic people. They wanted for land contract. And I was willing to give it to them for land contract, for $50,000. They're going to put $1,000 down and they're going to play with the other $40,000, paying $1,000 monthly. That's what I have, but I don't want to sell it for land contract. I want to sell it cash because I need money.
Yeah.
If I go cash, I can ask you $45,000. No, yeah. You want to make offer? I open for offering there too. We can play some room in there.
I can buy houses kind of like this anywhere over there for. I mean, there's a ton of houses that sell that are just like this in that Baldwin corridor there by Cesar Chavez for $25,000 to $35,000.
I see.
Like I would probably need to be more around $25,000.
Yeah, no, if that's the case, I can, man.
Yeah.
You know what? Give me at least, just because I need money. Give me at least 35, and I give it to you.
I mean, I'm looking at a house right now on Cooper Street. Do you know where Cooper is? A couple blocks over.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, if you looked at this thing, it's nice. It's new carpet, new paint, basement's clean. Updated cabinets. This thing sold for $32,000 and it's a 1,700 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
Wow, yeah. That's good. That's a good offer.
Here's one that sold for $32,000. There's one here that sold for $33,000 on Hudson. This one here on Baldwin. Here's one right on Baldwin, $333,000, so it's north of you a little bit. No mechanic shop, sold for $25,000.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not say nothing about it. I know there are a lot of good offers at this time of the market. But that's what I'm asking for is money. Like I says, I really need money. So 35, could be the least I can have for that house.
35?
Yeah, 35.
Okay. So we're stuck at 35,000, and again, my wholesale number is 25,000. So what are my different options? Well, I could just hold firm at 25,000, and if he won't go any lower than that, put him in a follow-up sequence and see if he comes around over time. Now, I could go ahead and agree to 35,000 and sign a purchase and sale agreement and try to wholesale it for 45,000, but I know that's too high. Instead, the best option for the situation is to do what's called an option. Now, the way an option works is it's a legally binding contract like a purchase and sale agreement, but it only obligates the seller and not the buyer. There are three main components to an option agreement, and then I'll give you an example. An option agreement needs a price, it needs a period of time, and consideration, or in other words, an option fee. So for example, let's say that I sign an option agreement with a seller for $100,000 for 30 days with a $1,000 option fee. What that means is the seller cannot sell the property to anyone else for an entire 30 days. In other words, the seller is obligated to sell it for $100,000 during that 30 days. That means I have an entire 30 days to buy the property for $100,000, but I'm not obligated to buy it. I have the option to buy it. However, if I don't exercise the option and buy the property for any reason during the 30-day window, I forfeit my option fee, in this case, $1,000. Now let me explain where options are commonly used in real estate and then how to use them as a wholesaler, and then I'll show you exactly how I used an option on my deal. And be sure to stay to the end of this video because I'm going to show you how to get my option agreement for free. Options are very common in commercial real estate, especially large developments. Let's say that you're a national home builder like Pulte Homes and you find a 200-acre piece of land for sale by a farmer and you want to develop it into a 1,000-home subdivision. And let's say that the sale price is $1 million for that 200 acres of land. Well, Pulte knows that it may take 2 years in zoning and development and red tape, and they may not even be able to get approved to subdivide and build homes until they do feasibility tests and everything else it takes to get approved for a 1,000-home subdivision. So Pulte doesn't pay $1 million to buy the property when they know it may take 2 years and they may not even get approved. So instead, they sign a 2-year option agreement with the farmer for $1 million with a $100,000 option fee. Now, they've only tied up $100,000, not $1 million, and if for whatever reason the deal doesn't work out, they can back out. Sure, they lose $100,000, but that's a lot safer than finding out they can't build and losing $1 million. Plus, it doesn't tie up all of the cash for 2 years. Now, I hope that makes sense. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that same logic on a smaller scale with houses. On my example I gave earlier, I want the house for $25,000 because I think I can wholesale it for $35,000, but the seller wants $35,000. Maybe I can wholesale it for $45,000 or maybe not. So an option would be a good way to structure the deal. That gives me time to see if I can find a buyer, and if I can't, I simply don't exercise the option, lose my deposit, and move on. So let's cut to a call where I explain this to the seller, and I want you to pay attention to how I tell him that I want to do an option. This is important so you know how to explain this to sellers because you're going to run into this situation. Let's cut to the call and then I'll explain what took place. I also know a lot of other investors in Pontiac. I can put it out to some of my other investors and see if any of them want it. Would you be willing to give me a little bit of time to see if I can find a buyer for it?
Yeah, that could be fine. I mean, like I said, I got 4 other people interested in the property. So whoever comes first with the money, that's the one who's going to get it. You know how business are.
Yeah, what I would need to do with you is do you know what an option agreement is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just give me like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks at 35. We'll have an agreement at 35, and then you give me 2 or 3 weeks if you're not in a rush. And then what I'll do is I'll reach out to all my investors I know, and I'll see if anybody's interested in this property. And then if somebody is, then I'll pass them off to you, and we'll get the deal done.
Okay, but I understand when you have an agreement like that, you have to put in some down. some money down, right? That way I can hold it for you because it's money involved already. It's not just work.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not. It's more than I want to pay, and you're not actively selling it. So I mean, kind of. But I wouldn't want to put that much out on it. And if it was at 25, it'd be a different story. But at 35, I don't know. I don't know if I can move it. I think I might, but I just don't know.
You know what? Just because I need money, I need the money right away. You know, I got some family problems. Give me at least $32,000 cash, and I give it to you.
32.
And that's it. That's my bottom price. I can go lower than that. 32,000 cash, and I give it to you. I know you can make some money in this property, you know, because even the guy who buy the shop, he says he's interested to take the house too. Just right now, he's trying to build some cash, you know, to make me a good offer, you know. So
what's he want it for?
Actually, I was asking him $50,000.
Yeah.
But he says he's going to make some money right now, and as soon as he got some good cash, he's going to make me an offer, you know.
Yeah.
So,
but who knows when that'll be?
I know it's going to be something between 35 and 45,000. You know, but I was asking him 50. You know. At this time, you know, there are a lot of buyers, potential buyers too. You know, so I'm waiting. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But like says, if you really want it, and you have the money, give me 32,000, and the house is yours.
I mean, if you'll do an option with me, I can see if I can make that work. I don't know for certain. That's why I'd rather do an option instead of a contract.
I see. Yeah, we can, like this, you know, we can do an option, but at least, you know, you have to put in $1,000 down. That way, I can hold the property for you at that price, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, after the time we set in there, you know, after that, if you don't take the house, you lose your deposit, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yep, that's how it works. Yeah. Yeah, let me think about that. 1,000's a little high. Let me look though, but I mean, I'm just looking at there. I know there's not a lot of houses for sale, so that's a plus, but there's just so many houses that sell around that area for 25.
Man, and I wish to find houses like that, but at this time I don't find no houses for 25, believe me.
Yeah, I'm looking at one right now on Baldwin, sold for 25, right on Baldwin.
Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Let me know, okay?
Okay, I'll let you know. Thanks. So I simply said to him that I was unsure if $35,000 was going to work for me, but I know a lot of other investors, and if he would give me some time, I would reach out to my investors and see if any of them were interested in the property. Now, of course, when I say investors, I'm referring to cash buyers, and I would take it to them for $45,000, and if I were to find a cash buyer for $45,000, I would simply wholesale or assign my option, and then the cash buyer would step in, pay me a $10,000 assignment, exercise the option, and buy the property for $35,000. And did you notice he knew what an option was? He's an investor and he was open to doing that option. However, he asked for a $1,000 option fee, which is way too high. That's not worth the risk since I don't even know if I can wholesale the deal for more than $35,000. He even came down to $32,000, which I told him was still too high. So we ended the call, and then right after we hung up, I thought about it, and I decided that I only needed 10 days to find out if I could wholesale this deal. So I sent him a text that said, I'll do a 10-day option for $32,000 with a $250 option fee. And he replied back, okay, let's do it. So now my goal is to find a cash buyer for $40,000 to $42,000, and if I can't, I lose $250, but I'm okay to risk $250 to give it a try. An option agreement is really easy to fill out. If you want my option agreement for free, leave a comment and say, Jerry, you are a flipping genius. Give me your option contract and I'll give you the download link. Now, if you use an option agreement, just remember, your only risk is the option fee and the amount is completely negotiable, but you cannot make it zero. There has to be consideration for it to be legit, even if it's $1. I bought $1 million property a few years ago from a wholesaler who tied up the deal with a $10 option fee. So if you plan on adding an option agreement to your wholesaling toolbox, leave a comment, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel. With over 600 videos, this is the #1 channel on YouTube for all things wholesaling and flipping. And I'll see you on the next video.